Hey friends, so I've just arrived at the pole dancing studio this morning to start my training for today. On today's agenda, I have the Rainbow Marchenko. I always get a little bit nervous when it comes to training this, and especially this morning, mainly because I don't think I've had enough coffee to attempt this. But we'll see how we go. So I'm going to get started first with some contortion training. Usually I start with about 40 minutes to an hour of contortion training before I even think about attempting my Rainbow Marchenko. But again, I'm a little bit nervous about this morning. I'm not sure how well it's going to go, but wish me luck and we'll see what happens.
My training sessions always begin with 5 to 10 minutes of cardio exercises. My favourite way to do this is by setting up a playlist that lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes and just selecting about 4 to 5 different cardio exercises and just repeating them over and over again until that playlist is finished. The next part of my warm-up involves dynamic stretching and also activation exercises designed to wake up particular muscles such as my glutes and upper back, ready for a successful contortion session that is also injury-free. So many people focus their flexibility training on passive stretches. Whilst this may help increase your flexibility, it will take a lot longer for you to see results, and you will most likely experience injuries along the way and really not unlock your fullest potential. Here are a few of my favourite pre-contortion, activation and strength training exercises. After about 15 minutes of activation and mobility exercises, I begin to include some passive stretches, but they're never truly passive. I'm constantly thinking about what muscles I should be engaging to ensure my joints feel happy and avoid injuring things like my lower back. Plus, being able to activate things like your glutes will help your hip flexors lengthen to their fuller potential rather than just simply sitting in a stretch and relaxing. This exercise in particular took me so long to get over the fear of dropping backwards, but it's definitely one of my favourites now for building up strength and control in my back bends.
You see, I'm already starting to get a little bit sweaty. Contortion training is actually quite hard. I'm not just like passively sitting in a lot of these stretches. You really have to physically think about what it is you're actually trying to activate when you do these movements, such as squeezing your glutes, activating your upper back. There is so much to think about, and it really is quite a workout. And something really interesting, I'm actually in my luteal phase of my menstrual cycle. If you haven't heard about training with your cycle before, it's definitely something interesting to look into, and I think a topic definitely for a future video. But basically there's 4 phases of your menstrual cycle. Luteal is one of them. Now in your luteal phase, or what I found particularly, is I'm actually really bending in this phase, which is really cool, and obviously makes this contortion training a little bit easier for me. However, I may be more bendy, but during your luteal phase, especially towards the end of this phase, your energy levels are actually a lot lower than what they have been in the previous 2 weeks, which is making it a bit harder strength-wise when it comes to this stuff, and also on my motivation as well. But yeah, that's probably why you noticed that in that last drop back video, that last little bit of the drop was just like a smack rather than a real controlled drop. But yeah, almost ready to try some rainbows. But for now, I'm just gonna do a few more stretches, a few more contortion poses like my needle scale, my floor needle, the lunge back bend. I usually actually only pick one of those, depending how I'm feeling. Usually when I am in this lose your phase, I stick to more my floor needle rather than my standing needle scale, just because my energy is a bit lower. And another really important thing in your lose your phase is to be careful. Yes, you are a lot bendier, but you also don't recover as well from your training as what you do in other phases. So we need to also be very careful in this phase with what we're doing. You'll probably also find you may not recover quite as well as your other phases.
This is one of my go-to pre-rainbow stretches. After this, I'm going to be ready to jump in the pole studio and try my rainbow. I've been trying to attempt the Rainbow Marchenko now for a year and a half, and I'm really only just starting to feel like I can hold this move comfortably now. It is still not perfect or flat yet, but I'm going to keep trying until I find my perfect rainbow. And yes, it does still take me over a minute to get into it, and I'm really struggling to do this one without flexed feet. But here is one of my best rainbow attempts so far. Today's training session. I achieved a Rainbow Marchenko. Yay! Now I think after every training session it's really important to try and find the positives. Even if the training session was maybe not your best training, I think it's always important to try and finish on a positive note and just try and look for the things that were positive. If you look, you'll always find something. So for me today, I achieved a Rainbow Marchenko on my second attempt. Usually it takes me a few to get there, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I managed to pull into it a lot quicker than normal too, which was really cool. And I think the third positive thing was I did it, even though I was feeling really tired. Like at the start of the video, you saw I was really nervous, but I did it. So I'm gonna go home now, just get cleaned up a bit, and then I wanna share my tips on And then I'll share with you my tips on how I structure my training to really get the most out of it and what I do that also helps hold me accountable. So I will see you at home. It is so important post any backbending session to do abs. Doing abs helps prevent injuries and helps you recover a lot better as well. Not only abs, but I also include a few forward folds just to help my back recover.
Hands up if you've ever gone to the pole dance studio and spent the first 30 minutes of your hour-long training session searching through Instagram, trying to find something to train for the day. I suggest you get yourself one of these amazing things. So this here is my much-loved pole dance training diary, and I honestly believe this has made such a difference in my training and has really helped me optimize my training, I guess, for success. So every Sunday evening, I like to sit down, spend about 10 minutes just scheduling in my training sessions for the week, and then writing down under each training session the moves that I want to train and just what my end goal is for the training session. That way, when I get into the studio, I don't have to spend the first half an hour searching through Instagram, wondering what I want to train for today. I have it all written down. That has really saved me a lot of time and helped me make the most of every second of that hour-long training session. This has also helped me optimize my warm-ups, because when I know exactly what moves I want to achieve for the day, I know exactly what things or what exercises I need to include in my warm-up to successfully achieve those moves. Whether it's more of a strength-based warm-up, more of a flexibility-based warm-up, I know exactly what I need to include in that warm-up to achieve that end goal. So again, I guess this has really helped me manage my time, and it's also really helped me optimize my warm-ups. Now the final thing I really like to include in my training diary is just some notes at the end of the session on how it went. So again, as I mentioned before, I always like to find the positives. So I'll always find one positive thing that happened during that training session and write it in my diary. And then I'll also write down anything that didn't go so well.
So you can probably find, if I search through my diary, some little notes. Find a good page. You can see here I've written, wasn't quite warm enough yet to bend. So basically I tried a flexi move, but I wasn't quite warm enough. On other pages you can see I've written things like I'm too sore. This has really benefited me a lot. Just over time is where it's really benefited me. So over time, you'll start to see patterns. So you'll start to see, why was this training session not so good and this training session really good? Was it because I trained two particular moves, two really flexy moves together? Sorry, not together, the day after each other. Maybe I need to spread them out a little bit more. So rather than do this move on Monday, this move on Tuesday, maybe I need to spread it out to do this move Monday, this move on Thursday. This has really helped me, I guess, kind of create the perfect training schedule. So in summary, my training tips for you today is to, number one, pre-plan your training. Writing down exactly what moves and what your end goal is for each training session for the week. Then post-training session, write down one positive thing that happened. Let's try and finish each training session on a positive note. And then thirdly, writing down what didn't go so well, so that over time we can start to see patterns as to why one training session may have been good and one maybe not so good. But if you did enjoy today's video, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe. It really does help support me and my channel to continue bringing more videos like this one. I'll see you next time.